what do the supposed supporters of the trucker protest actually support? What do they think is acceptable, moral, admirable, and what is not? Well, as with everything else when you're talking about the right wing, it is entirely contingent on circumstances. It does not reference core values or anything like that. And I'll demonstrate it actually. So here's a little bit more video of Tucker Carlson talking about the effects of the protest so far.
So far, that blockade has forced the Ford Motor Company to shut down one of its manufacturing plants and to operate another plant with a skeleton crew. Toyota says it won't be able to manufacture vehicles in Ontario for the rest of the week. General Motors has canceled multiple shifts at its plant in Lansing, Michigan, due to part shortages. So this protest is less than a week old, and already it is causing deep pain to at least one global industry.
Okay, and he presumably thinks that's good. That's why he's so giddy right there. Okay, so in general then, do you support protests that are inconvenient, that have knock-on economic effects? When you occupy a city, like did they like that when the autonomous zone was set up in the Pacific Northwest? What about Occupy Wall Street? Again, do you in general support people protesting, or is it just if you love it? If you love it. So like he wants to pretend that he's supporting the working class. Okay, well, tens of thousands of workers work at those companies that you were just giddily saying are having their stuff grind to a halt. We're in the middle of, remember, shortages on products, including new cars, by the way. They love to complain about that. So this is gonna lead to more expensive cars, delays in getting them. So again, like you can't just throw out a point like that, contradicting so much of what you've said without addressing it. Last year, you guys were like horny to pass laws making it legal to run down protesters blocking streets. Should I head to Ottawa? Should I head up there and like, is it a good thing or not a good thing? Again, I would just love them to actually like state a principle ever. There's always principles there lurking in the background. They want money, they have it. They just want to obfuscate, distract, keep control. That's what they have. That's why they talk about things like this. But other than that, what principles are they actually describing, Brett?
They're against law. I'll tell you what principle Tucker seems to stand for. And I'm just taking my cues from him. Tucker is against law and order. He is against the laws that govern the road. He is against peace and quiet and decent society. There is nothing crappier than honking your horn incessantly. Unless it's the other thing he mentioned, which is Tucker Carlson, man of the people, is happy that we are kneecapping the American auto industry. Yep. The thing that created the middle class in the world, whether it's through literally making automobiles or the assembly line. Things that created the concept of good paying union jobs. He does not care about pay. This guy, the thing that most labor movement and labor action, collective action by a certain class, a certain working class group it goes for is like better working conditions. And by that, they mean don't die. This anti-vax movement is like, yeah, more likely to die. So it doesn't really apply. And then better wages, better benefits. None of that is here. He doesn't care. So again, if to answer your question, all he is for is hobbling the American auto industry, and through it by championing the Canadian worker. I thought he loved this country. He is choosing Canadian workers who drive trucks, probably on the wrong side of the road. I don't know. They're still in the Commonwealth, over American assembly line workers. Some red, white, and blue.
Yeah, this is very consistent, as they've always said. America second after Canada. We prefer Canada, honestly. Again, and by the way, like, maybe we disagree on some of this. I don't think that inconveniencing people during your protest is the worst thing. I don't think that hobbling the American auto industry for a few weeks due to like a strike would be the worst thing. It all depends on for what. We get to evaluate if it was worth it. If I like go and block Culver Boulevard for a solid 2 weeks because I demand that they make another season of Dark Crystal, okay, that's probably not a good call. But if like like Culver City government workers who'd been abused for years did it, so that like there are reasons for this. He is totally doing this to try to generate a domestic version of this. It is beneficial to them to talk about the Canadian one because that fills up the news and that's what they need. But that is not what this is about. This is the trucker protest they want here, which by the way is coming, including very nearby, supposedly this weekend in Inglewood and in California. That's what they want. Again, for what? To stop the vaccine mandate? What vaccine mandate? To stop the lockdown? What lockdown? What exactly would you be protesting against? God only knows. God only knows. But if they did come up with things, if it was like the conservatives who, remember, have economic anxiety and have been forgotten by coastal elites, if they actually did it for their quality of life, demanding affordable health care, demanding family leave, higher wages, or like whatever, poof, the right-wing coverage would be entirely gone. It would be a George Soros, Antifa infiltrated thing. They'd have no interest. It is only going to be covered and supported as it has been. They have been bringing on these organizers of the American version that's coming over and over and over again, so long as it is loud and vague. If they make any specific demands that would improve the quality of life of actual American workers, it's over, it's done. They're not gonna have any interest in it.
Yeah, I agree 100% with that. And this is the most perfect like protest for Fox News right now. It gives them a chance to repeat the BS talking point that they're for the people, which they're not. And it has that specific spice of right-wing insanity where it like doesn't make sense. Like it's not accurate. And because it's not accurate, because of all the holes in the argument that John and I have pointed out along the way, it's triggering to me. Like it like makes me wildly angry because it's so inane. It doesn't make sense. It's very obviously, as John says, cosplay and this attempt to scoop up a larger voting bloc.
Yeah.
And that's why it's so perfect for them right now.
You're totally right. It's not supposed to make sense. It's supposed to be emotional.
They're gonna tow him.
They need it always. They definitely need it during an election year. It is just gonna be vague. Like one person is gonna yell about immigrants coming over the border. Another person hanging out of a truck is gonna say something like about like Satanists, and then the camera's gonna cut away. It's gonna be a toxic mix of anti-CRT, QAnon, whatever. The same conspiracy casserole that they've been banding about for years now. It just is also going to burn a lot of fuel and make a lot of noise. That's all it's gonna be.
Check out the Damage Report podcast each day, wherever you get your podcasts, whether Pocket Casts or Stitcher or iTunes. You can join me as I give you the news and stories you want, with a range of co-hosts and interview guests jumping in on the fun each day. Again, that's the Damage Report, wherever you get your podcasts. And if you get them at iTunes, don't forget to rate and review. Sometimes I'll read them live on the show.